Welcome all back again with a familiar face this week. Had some scheduling difficulties with some people who didn't feel like texting back, or had some meetings at some boat clubs, some rich white affluent shit going down. So I had to go with the guy in the trailer park I knew would be available. Mr. Purcell, I don't know what your team name is anymore because you keep changing it, but how you doing, sir?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic, and just want to put it out there that I prioritize this over my little rowboat club. So,
Because you definitely got a lot going on in the middle of a trailer park in North Carolina, right?
oh yeah, I had to park somewhere and find signal. So,
Got to do what you got to do to get the pot in, you know what I mean?
oh yeah,
But yeah, just gonna kind of start rolling here. I know it's Thursday, game's about to start, so we want to get in front of the camera just to watch this really exciting Bears Commanders matchup. That's got everybody clamoring for action. So, just
oh
kind of
yeah,
some notes from the last week. Scoring seemed pretty rough scoring week for a lot of teams, myself included. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we saw what, four teams over 130. This week we saw two and several under 100. So it was a pretty rough show all in all. Any comments or thoughts on that?
yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think the past 2 weeks were just flukes, and I think teams might have caught some wins in there that you're not going to see catch many more for the rest of the season. But a win is
Mm,
a win, and then we'll see how the rest plays out. So,
as you are familiar, all the wins count the same, even the ones that are handed to you.
oh yeah.
But kind of talking about some teams here and a team that's 0-4 in our league. George, he's current quarterback, Joe Burrow, playing pretty bad. Are the Bengals dead? Do you think their season's over already?
I don't. I think you're going to see a revive for them. I actually shot him a trade offer in there, trying to take advantage of some of the stuff on his team before, you see a comeback. But I'm not sure what week that Joey B is going to, get back into action, but it's going to happen. And, there's going to be a couple receivers on there that definitely, pop up as well. And, I think you're going to see the running backs also get more action than they've been getting just because if the offense can't complete a freaking drive, then
Yeah.
but
Yeah, Najee looked competent last week, which is surprising. And those receivers we've talked about every week on the pod, they've been fantastic. But Burrow's really been the Achilles heel. I know Stroud was out there, Zach picked him up. So there are some quarterbacks out there that are options that are frankly performing much better than Burrow right now. But it's hard to put a guy that just got paid the most money ever in the league to put him on the bench. But
yeah, that's tough. Like Zach Wilson would have been a better choice for him, but
yeah, man, he balled out last week. Good for
yeah,
him. But
yeah,
last comment I had, I feel like injuries are a little bit up this year as far as like overall. Like I know it's football and I know injuries happen, but it really feels like fantasy wise and just team to team wise, like injuries have been up across the board.
yeah. I don't know if it's to blame for the turf or what, but it's expected to have like one or two injuries that kind of upset a team here or there. But I think this year everyone's catching the injury bug. Few of us
It's
started out with it. That Mike Williams trade, like no one would have seen that happening.
Yeah, I
But
mean that we can get into that a little bit. We kind of talk about our matchups and performances and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was at the time when we made that to trade decision, it was pretty even. Like Waller's top-ish guy, at least we thought. And Mike Williams, he had a tremendous game that day, just tore his ACL, unfortunately,
yeah,
which again, I'd make that trade every time. So it is what it
Bark,
is. But
Barkley Chubb, it's two high draft picks right there that are
yeah,
one you lose for a couple of weeks, one's gone for the season. So it's just
yeah, I am aware that Chubb is off my roster for the rest of the year. Yes, but yeah, it's been a little rough for me as far as the injury front goes. But I'm not the only one in that, so I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But just going to highlight the picks last week. I went 3-3. Ryan went 4-2. So we are tied. Me versus guest at 11 and 13. So both under 500, both trending towards above 500. Maybe you can be the ship that writes it for the guest pickers this week. So
oh yeah, I'm gonna set things straight.
there we go. But that being said, I'm gonna go ahead, get the screen situated if I can do that, and then share, and then boom, and then boom. All right, you see that all right?
Nope.
No,
Then again, I'm having like network
technical
issues.
difficulties. Well,
Let me know what team you're on, and I'll pull up on my screen.
All right. Well, I'm on last week's matchup, myself versus Ed.
Okay.
So I'll start. I thought this game was going to be competitive going in. I've said all year I like Ed's roster. I know they've been playing a little bit down, and I felt pretty good about my team getting Aaron Jones back, getting healthy. But he beat the brakes off me this week. Lamar MVP season might be loading. He's played very, very well. Don't tell the Lamar haters he's completing 74% of his passes so far this year. Eagles wide receivers finally got it going, 52 points combined from them. And that the combination of Lamar and AJ Brown was enough to just kind of bury me. And then I think I was pretty much dead after the Thursday night games where Aaron Jones got me 1.9 and Musgrove got hurt on the first play of the game. He caught a ball. So kind of buried there. Still managed to get some points out of Pacheco and Herbert. Pacheco's been a pleasant surprise so far this year. I wasn't very high on him, wasn't super excited about that pick, but he's been all right. And then I got some receivers on the bench that are putting up some points. So I don't hate my life moving forward. I don't like my team all in all. I think I'm going to be a middling lower seed if I make the playoffs or just has the playoffs. But Ed's team could be on the rise, and we can talk about that in the future match. What do you see here?
Yeah, I think the two big things are you had some obviously some good performances, but then you didn't have anything like middle of the road. It was either you performed or you just didn't show up. So that you got a lot of points that just like could have happened that didn't happen on your side. If some of these guys actually played a little better, which is just a week to week thing, then better situation. Then on Ed's side, like everything looked kind of like it was going to pan out the way that it's predicted for the most part. The one standout thing is just AJ Brown. Like I think we could have expected him to put up 20 points, um, but to
I
put up
mean,
40, that's just
yeah.
crazy.
He
So
was off such a slow start this year, so you kind of knew he was going to have a big game to blow it up, and yeah, but no, I mean, I think there's still a lot of upside with this team. The fact that he's 2-2 seems to have found a hidden gem with Sam Laporta. Obviously, he's been one of the best fantasy tight ends so far. So yeah, it's been a pretty good look for the guys this week for Ed. So it's good to see. But oh god.
tight ends are just costing guys this season. All the top tight ends that we thought they were going to be out there. Kelsey's really the only one that's playing out, so it's a lot of points lost. And if you didn't grab one of those, you know, Cowboys tight ends, week 1 or 2, then like
Yeah,
you're probably stuck with what you had, and it's not panning out for any of us.
yeah, and
So
I picked up Ferguson, so I think I'm kind of set there. I'm okay with losing Waller, but anyway, moving forward, I'm going to go on to your matchup versus Nate. Um, you retired Coach Prime after the 0-2 with the name. Pretty solid score once again from your team. Just I think Darren Waller should bounce back at some point, but he's been pretty awful. You got to start Nico Collins, man. I know I told you this
yeah,
before, but dude blew up on your bench, and that obviously over Joe Mixon, that would have been an easy spot to go ahead and get yourself the win, but you know, learn your lessons, move on, and then look out for Team Nate, man. 125, really high performance. Stephon Diggs had a humongous day. The rest of the gang, the running backs really carried strong here. Bottom half of this, wide receiver 2 and down, question marks all across the board. But, those running backs and Stephon Diggs, look out. And he's got Achane on the bench. So this team's gonna be, I think, moving in a forward positive direction towards the top of the standings here soon.
oh yeah, I can't agree more. Looking down his roster, I think everyone panned out the way that I thought they would. I had a feeling that Kyron would, probably get her between 20 to 25 points, but Diggs is the one that just totally caught me off guard. Like I knew between same thing, 20 and 25, but about to crack 40 there. That's gonna be a tough one to come back from. And then I would have thought a little bit more out of Tucker, but for the most part, like I knew Nate was going to probably put up more points than he was projected. I just
Mhm.
really thought that I was going to surpass that, and I think I've been kind of relying on Keenan Allen to 20 plus points kind of guy, and
More
when
like
it didn't
40.
happen, yep, when that didn't happen, even though I got some points out of Hurts that wasn't expected, the rest of the team just it's this team. I think here, I hate to say it, but you need like one guy to really produce. And I did have had that with Nakua, but just wasn't enough this week. And like you said, the Nico Collins thing, I I thought about it and I was like, I think this is going to be the week for Mixon to really start cranking out more points. And
Yeah.
then
Well,
yeah, it's just
two enormous days for Nico, and then one like okay day and then one bad day. But I mean, the volume's there. This guy, you got to give him a shout out, man, because I know you liked him last year, but
yeah, that's why I'm
man,
sticking with him.
he's a
Going
good player, man.
going forward, I think he's their favorite target too. He's the biggest receiver and he's
He's
proven
good,
himself.
and
So
Stroud
yeah,
is an animal. So
yeah.
yeah,
There's
I like
enough, I
that
think,
kid.
enough data at this point to realize just play the guy.
I think you
Projected
have.
for
This is the point of the year where you got to get your guys and you just got to plug and play, and that's it. But
yeah,
moving on here to Wuhan versus George. Kirk stunk, but it didn't matter because Christian McCaffrey is not a real person. 4 touchdowns, 47 fantasy points. Rest of the roster, other than the Seahawks defense, really didn't do much. So, slight concerns. What's wrong with T. Higgins? He's had 3 awful weeks now. Um, so 123 is a great score, but without Seahawks and McCaffrey, this is a really bad week. So looking for team consistency with some of these teams, and not much to be seen this week from Wuhan. And switching over to George here, we are in full panic mode. Team hasn't broken 100 points this year. We talked about Burrow a little bit, but man, you're gonna need. I mean, again, we showed some confidence out of Najee, and the rest of the boys had okay days. Javante got hurt, so that's not a slight on him. But man, you're gonna need Burrow to step it up because, or gonna have to make a change because right now, out of I think there's been 33 quarterbacks that are qualified to be considered starting quarterbacks this year as far as games or times played, and he's ranked 31 as far as production. So obviously, um, you're missing a lot when it comes down to quarterback play. So
yep, yeah, that's a tough one. I think that George has an awesome team. If you like look down at what if these guys
yeah, the
actually
names on the
perform, but
roster are sweet.
it's just not. It's one of them years you wouldn't have seen Burrow not coming out the way he did, and he still has the weapons. It's just not working. I don't know what the deal is,
Yeah,
but
I don't have an answer. I've asked people that are very knowledgeable with football. Nobody knows what's wrong with Burrow because it's pretty much the same skill positions. Their offensive line's been a little bit rough, but
yeah.
man, it's rough. But anything to say about your boy Wuhan?
Yeah, I think I would just say like even though Cousins didn't show up, that's stereotypical of him. I had him last year. He'll either boom or bust. There's not really much in between. I think that is a direct reflection with what you're going to see with his tight end he's got plugged in there, and then kind of the same thing goes for T Higgins and Burrow. Like if Burrow's not performing, Higgins ain't going to perform. But I think this is probably as low as you're going to see Wuhan go. Like his weapons, Samuel,
Yeah,
Cousins, Hawkinson, those guys didn't perform at all, and he's still cracking out 125.
no,
I
you're
think
right.
that's
Yeah, you could
that's
easily get that 34 from Debo,
yeah,
instead of the Seahawks defense. So yeah, I mean this team's still really good. It just concerns me when it comes to talking about the top 3, 4 teams, which his team is definitely in the conversation. At least ranked number 1 right now. So obviously he's a good team, but as far as like looking for the guy who's going to win the championship, you'd
it
like to see a
yeah.
slight more consistency out of the players week to week. Is
If
my perspective.
if Cousins, I don't have a lot of faith in. I think that that's hit or miss. That cost me the championship last year. But if Burrow comes back up, that's automatically another 20 points right there. This guy's going to have. So
And George, and we're still early enough in the year where he can rebound for sure.
yeah, but yeah, I think both of these teams, it's all dependent on those quarterbacks and what those quarterbacks do for these receivers. I do want to point out that
Mhm.
Cousins had a shit week, but look,
He's been great.
Jefferson, look at Jefferson's freaking fantasy points though,
Yeah.
still producing. So
Yeah,
it,
Justin Jefferson's a beast. I mean, 21, 21, 31, 23 and a half. So, I mean, you're just going to get it every single week from my man. And he's going to make a shitload of money here soon. So,
yeah,
good for him. But yeah, it don't matter. Yeah, these receivers are pretty much matchup proof. You just need some of the supporting cast to kind of play along. So, moving on here to your boy Tongue Cat versus Team Coleman. Tonkat made the move to put in Russ. Worked out 23 points, ain't nothing shabby, but the rest of the team forgot the memo that they were supposed to get off the bus and play. Because 92 points. DeAndre Swift had a nice day. I should point that out. And Calvin really did score a touchdown, didn't do much else besides that. This team, along with myself, is 1-3, so I really can't talk too much shit. But this team kind of looks like it stinks a little bit. And then talking about Team Coleman real quick, Jags D, I dropped him last week. Tyler picks him up, plugs him in, 25 points. Thank you very much. Player wise, again, pretty mediocre performances across the board. No one really went boom, no one really went bust. So talking a little consistency here, that's fine, but you're gonna need a couple guys that do have that upper echelon scoring, which Ja'Marr Chase definitely has the ability to. He just hasn't shown it so far this year, other than one game so far. So, but other than that, it's been a rough road for this team. Find themselves 2-2. The running backs scare me because they just seem to be very middle of the road. So you're really going to need Chase to step up here and be the guy that he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If you look at the kind of ratings on the wall of both of these teams, 9th and 11th in the league, they're going to pop out from week to week because you got some stars on there. I'm not going to lie, but overall, I don't think either of these teams are really much of a threat. I think Tungat, this is consistent. What we're seeing here, not able to crack 100, and then Team Coleman, like without Chase, without Burrow throwing to Chase the way that he was last year, you're going to keep getting these like 10 fantasy point weeks, and he's expecting to get 20 plus out of this guy.
He's supposed to be like Jefferson. It's supposed to be the same thing, and it's not been. He's wide receiver 30, which is awful for what he's going to be. So,
and another thing to point out is just that Jags D gave him 25 points. I don't think you're going to get that week to week either with that.
No, they got me negative 0.25 last week, so that's why I dropped them. So, but it looks like Houston's for real. So that's just that's just word of the wise there, I think. But
I think you're going to see that front number on both of these teams probably stick around where it's at, and then it's going to be that number, that second number in, it's going to start growing. So
okay, season's over. Stop setting your lineups, guys.
Pretty much work trades with these teams is all I got to say.
All right, switching over to a team that's not moving in that direction is Team Bucher against Risky Dipper here. And thanks to Risky, I was not the lowest scorer of the week. Makes me feel a little bit good about myself considering I had a lot of really bad performances. But talking about Bucher here, I like this team off the rip. They are forming into this dynamite team that is expected. King Henry is back to doing King Henry things. Anthony Richardson appears to be a superstar on the field and on the fantasy boards because dude's pretty electric playing football. You should watch him if you haven't had the chance to. Waddle didn't do much. Pollard didn't do much. Mark Andrews had a nice day. Ravens defense had a nice day. All up and down this lineup, you see big names, you see superstars, you see fantasy dynamos. This is going to be a really, really hard team to beat. I would like to shout out myself. I said DJ Moore was going to have a good week. 25 points on the bench, so go me. Good call. And then sliding over to Risky here. It's kind of gross. I don't think you're gonna ever get this low again with this team. I like this lineup. I like this roster. It's just bad week other than Ayuk. Mahomes obviously didn't play very well on Monday night or Sunday night against the Jets. So this team bounces back, but man, 2-2 is not where I saw this roster being, and it's slightly concerning with the output that you're getting from a lot of these big names.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough one. I think I'm not going to say I didn't see this one coming. I thought this would be kind of like a neck and neck kind of match. I thought both teams would be up in that like 125 to 135 range this week. But yeah, I think this is just like a out of the ordinary week for Risky. I think we're going to see this team constantly performing on the higher end of the league. Just unfortunate for him right now that he's dropped to 6th place in the league. I think Team Bucher, you're just going to keep seeing climb the ladder. One thing to point out, though, he started George Pickens there. Good player and all, but Pittsburgh just
they're not it this year, man. But hey, DJ Moore is going to be sliding the lineup, and I will say for Risky, he's going to get Saquon back probably this week, so that's a huge boost to the lineup as
Huge.
well. So
Yep. And yeah, we're talking about DJ Moore. It's just even though I don't know if I play him week to week because of the Bears situation, especially a quarterback this season. The one thing that stood out to me though going into it was they are up against Denver, so you might have the opportunity to at least have a little bit better chance of getting that player to play. And sure enough, he put up 24 points. But week to week, that's going to be a tough one for him. Is that decision right there between those two?
yeah, and I think public service announcement. If you have a guy playing against Denver, you should probably start him because Denver's
Yeah.
defense is awful. But now DJ Moore, I think just because of the volume there, other than Komet, I mean, there's no one else really to throw to. So target wise, volume wise, whatever term you want to use, DJ Moore is definitely an option. I think he has a good night tonight, honestly, against Washington. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no,
Washington, they haven't been performing the way we thought they would. So
Sam Howell looks pretty good. They almost beat the Eagles last week, man. So that they're not
almost
a bad team, but
almost did. Yep. I think the biggest thing that upsets me is just like their receivers. I want
Dotson
more out
there,
of them.
and yeah,
Dotson's a great receiver, talented, and it's just I would think I could expect more than 10 fantasy points out of the guy, and it's just not happening. So they're running the
yeah,
ball a lot.
as they should. Brian Robinson's having an awesome year. Your
Yep.
guy, and then
On the bench.
from rags to riches, we got Rockboy versus the Milkman. Rockboy put up a steamy hot 80 points last week, almost doubles it with 148.4. Biggest score of the week. Highlighted by Josh Allen doing MVP Josh Allen type things. He'll get you the 4 interceptions games. He'll get you the 50 fantasy point games. You want it, you got it any way you want it. That's how it's going to be. You just can't pick when it's going to be. Cowboys defense continues to be the probably top 5 fantasy football player in all no matter position. And the rest of the guys, no bad days, no great days. Kamara with all the catches. I think he had 13 catches.
Yeah.
So you're gonna love that in a half-point PPR. Team's good. Talked about it before. Eckler's coming back. Probably after the bye. They're on bye this week. Next week he'll be back. So Alvin Kamara and Elston Eckler with these receivers with this roster. This is a tough team. And then Milkman. We kind of reverted back to kind of how I thought I saw this team being beginning of the year, just very boomer bust. And 110 still a good score, so no shame in that game. You finally get the good game from Fields. You combo that 1 week coming up here, I'm sure, with Tyreek Hill and Fields having great days. It's a wrap. Went a little heavy with the Browns against the Ravens with a backup quarterback, so kind of just circumstantially a bad time, but it doesn't matter when you get 150 hung up on you. It is what it is. I still like McMahon's team. These guys have shown that they're good. So just kind of ran into it a little bit mixed with a down week for some guys.
Yeah. I think everyone wanted to see this. Milkman has a likable team. Everyone likes him, but you always want to knock the number 1 guy off. So it was good to see Josh upset him. Even the playing grounds with multiple 3-1 teams. Kamara, I want to say it's first week back, right?
Yep.
So we can only expect more out of him. That's going to put some new blood into that team, like revive it a little bit.
And then he had 11 carries, but it's the 13 catches that really. I mean, they with Carr's shoulder being messed up, man. I mean, the checkdowns galore. But yeah.
And then on his bench, man, David Montgomery, probably the best week we'll have all season.
Didn't need him.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, he's highlighting that he's going to be the workhorse that that the team needs. 2 great running backs, don't get me wrong, but I think Montgomery, people thought he might lose a little bit of the workload. I think you're only going to see him maintain, and then McLaurin proving he's the number 1 receiver on the Skins.
Whoa.
So,
we don't support that term around here.
Yep.
The Commanders.
Sorry, Commanders. I don't know. I got a little Native American blood in me. So, and then
Jesus.
Josh is a big Washington fan. Probably his second favorite team. So he's definitely noticing that and watching it. I think you're going to see him start plugging them into maybe not necessarily those receiver slots, but definitely that flex spot. And he's going to week to week for him. So
it's a good ass team, man. I like this roster a lot.
Yep, same. And his tight end, the backup one there, Logan Thomas, he's
Yeah, he's had a
doing
nice
all right
couple.
too.
Yeah, he's a solid backup tight end to have. So,
Yep. Now
we're
flipping,
gonna stop sharing for a minute.
yeah.
Just this.
Real quick on
Mhm.
Milkman though, just
Oh
shout
yeah, go
out
ahead.
bench too. Like Robert Woods wasn't the best week for him, but I think we can see some play out of him in the future, especially if Nico Collins gets injured or something. And then CJ Stroud like just proving himself week after week. So when Fields is not performing the way we saw him this week, easy rookie to plug in there that's going to get you those guaranteed points. So
Yeah, it's still a good team. Both these teams are. This could be a future championship match game.
I think
Honestly,
we're looking at it. Yep, this or Wuhan. So
yeah, and don't forget about Bucher. So I think those are
oh
pretty
yeah,
much
Bucher. I think those are the
they're
four
the
teams I would
clear.
expect to see at the end. So
I think they're the clear top four in my
yeah,
opinion. But
anyone else that gets in there is going to be like a wild card. So
yeah, I think so. Gonna need a big run like Ed had last year to get
and
it
are all
done.
those
But
teams 3-1 right now as well?
yes,
Mhm.
I think so. Yes. But we're just switch over here. We have a new sponsor to the pod, Miller Lite, that has delightfully sponsored us. So shout out to Miller Lite for jumping on the bandwagon, getting with the boys here. We appreciate the money. We appreciate the sponsorships. Unfortunately, that money goes all into the commissioner's pocket against just collective bargaining agreement. Nothing that we can do. We could definitely look into that in the future, but just kind of is what it is. Expensive running a league. So,
Oh yeah,
gotta combat the cost somehow. But you
definitely.
know,
And some of these guys aren't paying up either. So
that's true. But I digress. Week 5, time to make some picks. So, I got Josh Dobbs, Arizona Cardinals legend, slotting in there in the starting quarterback spot while Herbert's on bye week. Um, Rest of the boys projections looking low. I think that projection's real low. I think the boys get it done pretty big time here. Ryan's team stinks. Ryan stinks. They underperform. Takate is getting the vengeance. From the grave. So I think Takate gets the win here, pulls off this wildly high projection upset, dominates Tonkat, and gets to 2-3 back in the playoff hunt.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was analyzing this earlier at work a little bit, and I don't think this app is always super accurate. So after going down at Devontae, like he got a little hurt last week, so they're projecting him pretty high there. The team has to lean on him pretty hard, but Green Bay's been getting kicked back. I think they're gonna freaking take this opportunity to maybe shine, and if he doesn't get all those points he's expecting out of Devontae, we have a lighter week like 10 points that brings him right on down there, and then the Bears want to win. Who knows how the Commanders are going to do tonight? I think you'll have a good idea. You know, going into Sunday based off of what points he gets there tonight too, and then you're going to get some points out of your defense this week. That's for sure. I think you're going to potentially get twice of what's shown there.
Yeah, the projection is 12, and that feels generous. I think the Dolphins are going to smack the hell out of the Giants because Daniel Jones does not know how to play quarterback.
What did he have? It was 6 turnovers, 6 picks, 2 fumbles, something like that last week. No, 6 sacks.
He got sacked 10
two,
times.
2 picks and a fumble or something like that. So
It was very
that's just
bad.
points all over the place.
Imagine paying him $40 million a year to put up that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, agreed.
good time to be a Giants fan.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so
I'd say
you're
I'm
going
I'm
with
I'm
me.
I'm going with Takate's boys this week. And
Let's
I don't even
go.
think it's going to be close. I think these
Oh
scores
yeah,
could be this could be the
flip
inverse of what's
flop.
projected. So yeah.
We love that. We love that. Shout out. Moving on to the next matchup here. Man, it'd be really nice if ESPN could fix this app to where it wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it needs
Um,
to be more accurate, I think.
yeah, so we got Team Nate here coming in real hot and crispy off that sweet win last week, getting to 2-2. Team hasn't been above 500 in like 2 calendar years. So is this when it becomes time going to go up against I'm on a new level, desperately needing a win. I think Nate's locked in. We had an old dialed in call just to kind of get a pulse of the team. Locker room's hot. Caps are
Yep.
huge on the manager. So, this team's just going to rock and roll. Look out for teammate moving forward. This team could definitely assert themselves into the upper echelon of the league, I think, with these running backs and Stefon Diggs carrying the weight. Panic button's already hit for George. Does he set his lineup this week? Because we got Cameron Dicker on by. Does he go get a kicker before the kickoff on Sunday? It's a good question. But does it even matter? It does not. Team Nate takes it down big time.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it on the head with this one. I think no matter what moves or trades or grabs he gets off of the open market, this team's on fire. I think we're going to see Diggs cracking beers again in the end zone. So
That was awesome.
yeah, guy's been on fire. I think he's going to put up at least 15 fantasy points. Might very well exceed the 22 average that he's sitting at now. We'll see. But yeah, overall, I think that they're probably both going to pan out around where they're projected though this week.
Just based off the track record for out on a new level, man, it kind of feels like that's where it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. At this point, it's sad. See, probably one of the highest putting down points last year teams, and
yeah,
just not at the Burrow thing. I almost snagged Burrow up. I think he beat me to him, and I'm super thankful for that.
Saved your season.
Yep. So, but yeah, never know. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go Nate on this one. So.
Yeah, I'm being a little outlandish with my picks today because I need to spark some juice within myself to kind of get the picks up, get over 500 on my picks. So everything around here is just under 500 right now, unfortunately. But moving on to your matchup here against Team Coleman, I think Tua is going to absolutely dominate the Giants this week.
Yeah.
These running backs, like I said before, pretty average, mediocre. Jamar Chase, good day. I think so. Arizona, we know they beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, but they're still not that good. I think Chase has a good day. And then Dalton Schultz stinks. Get him out of your starting lineup. There's better options out there in the world. Talking about the people's champion, changing the team name. The big dick swing in the past month. It's just coming out here, boys are buzzing. I think he crushed the projection into the 120s, 130s. And I think Team Coleman probably comes in at about, and I'm going with the people's champion by at least 15 points here.
Yep. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I think Cup's gonna come off of
I don't know if he plays
reserve.
though. I think it's gonna hurt you if he does play. But
I do too. I hope he does not play this week. Just because then I'm gonna get more out of Nakua. Otherwise, it's a tough call. Like Collins has got a tougher matchup as far as coverage of receivers goes. But like if you're gonna play Cup and Nakua, then like you're rolling the dice on who's gonna get targets. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
it makes
easier
it hard.
easier to keep it the way it is. I would say that's the deciding factor this week. For me, I'm lucky to face him with DK out. He had a pretty good week. Or what was it? Was it Monday night? They
Let's
played
see.
Seahawks.
Oh
I think
yeah, they played
Monday.
Monday. Yeah,
Yep.
he's been pretty solid every game. At least 10.5 was the low, so that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd rather not have to face him in there. That team's been looking all right. Stinks that I don't have Keenan Allen in this week, but I think this is a fair matchup. I think it could go either way. I think regardless, both teams are going to put up at least 10 more points than they're projected, and I think it's going to be close. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that I squeeze out the win. Honest opinion, I think it's probably close to like a 50-50 matchup. But just because I see a little bit more green check marks on the right, I'm just going to lean to People's Champ this week. But in the spirit of like having to pick something here, but honestly, this is a tough one. I think it can go either way.
Yeah, the average score of 95 to 126 really makes it seem like it's going to be close. So
yeah, I looked at his past averages, and he didn't crack 100 except for week 3. So that's what has me having a little bit more confidence in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the Tua situation is something to point out. That's where I think he's going to get those 10 extra points. And then where he's going to beat me is if Chase has a big week because Burrow starts playing better. So
Yep. I'm gonna let you talk about these guys first because I have to pee real bad. Our current sponsor, impacts the bladder a little bit. So, just gonna need a 30-minute or 30-second, excuse me. I don't pee that long. Little break here, and I'll let you take it away with Wuhan versus Risky.
okay, let me check this one out. All right, so yeah, this is probably the closest matchup that it has projected for this week. Um, so Mahomes had a down week last week. I think we see him bounce back this week. If Barkley's in there, then he's fresh again. So we're going to see him put up more than the projected 15 points. Um, Overall, Mike's team's looking really, really good this week. I feel better about Garrett Wilson going into this week based off of how hot the Jets were last week. And they got a soft matchup against Denver. So I think you're going to see 20 points out of Garrett Wilson. And I know Mike's going to be happy to see that happen again. Chiefs defense is going to definitely put up some serious points, more than is projected, I want to say. Switching over to Wuhan, though, I think we see Cousins kind of have a good week again this week. For some reason, he seems to play at a higher caliber when he's up against tougher teams. Doesn't make sense. Same with McCaffrey. They're going to have to lean on him against Dallas's defense. So I don't know if he's going to, hit that average of 30, but I think he's definitely going to hit that projection of 20.
What an average, 30 points. That's awesome.
That's ridiculous,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Do you say anything outlandish while I was gone?
No, the big thing I basically said is, I think you're going to see a good week out of Mahomes again.
Yeah, I
Barkley's
agree
back.
with that.
Barkley's going to be fresh, and then I pointed out the whole Garrett Wilson hot week last night, or hot week last week with the Jets. They're up against Denver. I think you're going to see him, potentially 25 points or so. So
I like it. I like it.
yep, and there's some chemistry between him and Zach Wilson. So I think that you're going to see him get a fair target share and get leaned on heavily. Going down the rest of the list, they're just these guys are all performing. But yeah, coming back over to the other side though, once you hit McCaffrey, it's tough to say. I don't know how Miles Sanders is going to pan out this week. Debo didn't look too hot last week. You got him up against Dallas defense. Oh man, those guys have been crushing it. It's tough to say. I think even though Wuhan's been putting up some serious points, it's a good matchup. This will probably be the closest one of the week, but I'm gonna have to pull Risky Dipper on this one. So
Okay.
I think that Wuhan is the trend that proved me wrong on this one, but I'm liking what I see on the left side of the screen here. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on Mahomes and Saquon. My concern is Mostert. I know he's been gangbusters, but I know in that 70-point game, he and Achane had good days, but man, he stunk last week, and I'm a little concerned. Giants are really bad. So I'm a little concerned about what you're going to get out of Mostert, but you got to play him. You just kind of have to ride the wave.
and those are both good running backs. A lot of ball share going on.
Sure.
There, so.
Yeah, it's a good offense. It's a good team. So no hurt in that. I'm just saying fantasy wise, you might find yourself missing out on the boat half the time now, as opposed to where Mostert was just the guy.
Not like a Barkley where you're the one guy they're leaning on. This is
right. Or McCaffrey.
Every other.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of ball share going on.
Yep. And then Wuhan. I mean, this team had a rough week last week. I think the vibes get back. I think the projection gets crushed. You had this one pretty close. I not as close. I think Wuhan comes out here, reasserts himself as the top team, and takes this one down, maybe by double digits. I don't know, probably teetering around that line, 8-9 points. I like the matchups a little bit better. Dallas defense is very opportunistic. Does not mean they're very good. The teams they put up really good stats on are some pretty bad offenses. San Fran makes everybody look bad. I'm going to lean McCaffrey and Debo before I lean Cowboys defense. That's just my personal opinion.
Even if McCaffrey has a tough game against Dallas, they're going to get right up there in a red zone, and they're going to get that guy the ball. So
you're getting a touchdown at least.
At least one, probably two.
Yeah, or 4.
Yeah.
But
that's what's tough to judge with this. It's I think Mike's team is pretty consistent. Wazinski's team here is the one that's like really just
A little
Christian
swingy.
McCaffrey gets 4 touchdowns. That's a wrap right there. So
Yeah, I just happen to like yeah, I faced McCaffrey last week, so I'm a little partial, but I like these guys. I like this team. I think they go ahead and smack down risky to get them to 2-3. Moving on to the Milkman versus Bucher here. Can we? Oh my goodness
yeah,
gracious!
this
We
one's kind of
have
writings
a
on the wall.
quarterback change. CJ Stroud in, Justin Fields out. Justin Fields has his best day of the year, and he's on the bench. Pretty much a guarantee he's going to absolutely go nuclear tonight against Washington now. So this kind
Here's
of,
this showing Fields on the bench.
yeah,
I'm I'm logged in here. It's got
my
me gotten Fields
I got.
rostered.
I mean, I'll hit refresh, but I got Fields on the bench. I got CJ Stroud in the starting lineup.
Oh, that's good.
Uh,
It should be that way.
Well, I don't know about that, man. I think Fields is still a fantasy dynamo, but Stroud's great. So I ain't mad at Stroud. I think Fields has better fantasy upside. But anyway,
I'm not
I
even
was
seeing Stroud.
my notes were that this is the week that Fields and Tyreek can finally have good weeks together, but guess not. So I got to move on from that. So I think Stroud has a nice day still. I think Tyreek has a great day. The rest of the team, Zach's in a bit of a bye week. Hell, most of his roster is on bye week on the bench. Um, so got a lot of guys that probably shouldn't be playing tonight. So or playing this week, I should say. So don't love the lineup. And then swinging over to Bucher here. Team's full strength. Team's hot. I like the matchups
Yeah,
these guys have. Pollard against St. Fran's a little scary, but I don't think you need him. Richardson against Tennessee, Derrick Henry against the Colts, Andrews against Pitt. I up and down the lineup. You look at it, you like it. I think Bucher kind of, what did I write down here? Slams that dick. But look for him to bounce back next week with this roster off by, and he's got some quarterback controversy, man. That's always a tough spot to be in fantasy football when you got two guys that are competent. So interesting to see how he manages going forward.
yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. That was me last year too. Like I'd argue he's got two better quarterbacks, but I had two mediocre quarterbacks, and it was frustrating to game lies on that which one you pick. But yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You got good players and bad players on both sides, but I think this week you got a little bit more talent sitting on Team Future side, or at least more guys we know are going to be consistent and put up the points they're projected for. Um, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of leave it at that. Both teams forces to be reckoned with.
Mhm.
They both probably should walk away with wins this week based off of the rest of the league, but unfortunate for them, they're up against each other. And I'm going to have to take, Nick's team going into
Yeah,
this one.
it
It
is
just,
kind of nice though. Looking at it for Zach, half of his roster is having their bye week right now. So moving forward,
yeah,
yeah, it's a rough week. Um, but even
go
if he's full
3-2,
strength,
no big deal.
But even if he was full strength this week, is he still going to beat Nick? It's a toss up. Even 50, even with a full strength for his full strength lineup. So,
Yep.
so yeah, kind of look at it from the glass half full. Bye week hell's out of the week. Then you just nickel and dime the rest of the way. So, but yeah, I'm Team Bucher here. Just you know, unfortunate bye week for Zach, but both teams, like we talked about earlier, very very good.
If you get
And
beat by a
finally,
top four team, whatever. If you get beat by bottom 14, that's where like the pain starts to set in. So
that's
when you're a
fair.
top four team, so
Yep. Oh, looks like the game's about to start because we had a little bit follow live matchup show up here. But yeah, so last one here. We got Josh, we got Ed, two of your favorite people.
yeah,
The projection up for Josh. Oh man, the projection went away. Projected 112.
yep.
Feels a little low to me. I don't really agree with some of the numbers that are showing here. I think some of these guys have better weeks. I think you get closer to the 120, 125 mark. And this team's moving pretty good. I think this is the week where Brees Hall explodes for Ed. Uh, Denver's defense is bad. They made a comment, or Salah made sure that Brees Hall got the shout out in the press meeting that he is not going to be held back. So he's going to get the ball. I think he's going to have a big week. And Lamar versus Pittsburgh, I don't love Lamar generally doesn't put up the best stat lines against Pittsburgh, just nature of the beast of the matchup. But I do like the Eagles receivers against the Rams. So that being said, this to me is the closest matchup of the week. I think these teams are pretty even up and down for where we are. Josh also in a bit of a bye week issue with some of his guys that he had starting last week on bye. But that being said, I do have Josh taking this one down. I think it's really, really close. I think it's less than 3 points separating these two.
Yeah, this is a tough one. He's made some smart moves on Ed's side here. Laporta, normally I'd rock Kittle, but if you're going up against Carolina, you're going to plug in,
Laporta's been
tight end.
really good, man.
Yep, you're going to plug in a tight end that's been proven himself.
He's tight end one so far.
Yep. So there you go. Like you're going to rock with them. So yeah, it's tough. I think the one thing that is going to make me lean more towards Rock Boys is after seeing David Montgomery's performance. Even though Jahmyr Gibbs has had some really awesome games this year, I think that you're either going to see equal ball share or you're going to see Montgomery getting some of those key plays. I could be wrong. Could be, the roles could be reversed this week, but I don't see Gibbs cracking 15 points. Brees Hall, I agree. I think it's going to be a big week for him. I think the deciding factor for these two teams is going to be those two Eagles receivers. If Rams hold them at bay, then I'm going to have to lean Rock Boys. But if I think with the Rams and the Eagles, it's going to be a shootout between these two teams. I think the Eagles will end up winning the game, obviously, but you're going to see a big passing game there on both teams. And especially if Cup's back and you got Cup and Nakua both in there, that team's going to just be slinging that ball down the field. I think you're going to see a lot more than the 16 points out of AJ Brown. I think Devonta Smith will definitely be between 15 and 20. But I think Josh is also going to put up some serious points, especially with David Montgomery there. So I'm going to lean Josh for the win on this one, but I think it will be close. So
yeah, kind of in unison all up and down. I think we had a couple differences, but yeah. So I do want to announce as well while forming or filming this, excuse me. I'm on a level did replace his kicker, so he is having a pulse. He does care. Look for this team to maybe win a game at some point this year. So with that being said, any closing remarks for the people in the league?
no, just one last thing with this team right here. Looking at Josh's roster going into this week, and the game already started, so he's not going to be able to punch in McLaurin off of the Skins.
Mhm.
But what would you have done in that flex spot? Oh, sorry.
Commanders. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this podcast canceled, but
Shit, man.
unintentionally. What would you have done in that flex spot? You probably would have rocked it the way he's got it, I'm guessing, but just want to see your thoughts
I
on
would
it.
have done McLaurin
That's
over
what
Thielen.
I'm thinking. That's what I would have done. We'll see how it plays out after this game, but
Yeah, I'm not a big Thielen guy. I know I think he had one big week, but let's
and
see.
they're up against the Bears tonight
Oh,
too.
actually,
So
he's been
it's
pretty good this year, man. So I can't knock the play. A lot of
yeah,
targets. So he's been better. That's actually better than I thought he's been. But yeah, no, I just personally, the Bears are pretty bad.
yeah.
So I think Terry probably scores tonight. I don't know if I can say the same against Thielen or for Thielen, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a bad call. But personally, I would have probably put in Terry, but I understand why he left him Thielen.
Yeah. So I was just seeing your thoughts on. I think either way, you're not a bad decision, but just curious.
Nah,
Like,
this team's deep, man. You can't go wrong.
yeah, you're definitely not knocking them. Good play either way. But yeah, with that, I think the big things to pull out are you've had a couple of teams that can be considered what you would call bottom feeders that have um, snuck in there. It's made things interesting. At the end of the day, it's about total amount of wins. So like the more wins certain teams get throughout the year, even if we might not think too highly of the team, that might sneak that team into playoff position. But I think the big takeaways are Team Nate. I want to point that one out. I think Team Nate is on the rise from what a lot of people expected initially.
Yeah, it's my dark horse team for sure. Did not see that one coming.
Yep. Shia Burrow having like a change of heart or something. Like I think poor George is just on that um, slow descend. And then,
Lining up for that first pick next year.
yep. Outside of that, I think the league's pretty open for a lot of teams in the middle to be fighting it out for the next couple weeks. But I would say the top 4 teams are probably going to stay in the upper half of the league at least, even if they don't hang in the top 4 week to week. They won't drop below 6, and that's the teams that are 3-1 going into this week. So
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. It's definitely feels like the year where we've had the most parity in it, like because we've always had the two or three teams that are kind of jockeying for a position at the top, and then we've had usually two teams, I should say 2 teams that are just completely out of it, and then usually like 4 to 5 that are fighting for those last couple of playoff spots, and then the middle's kind of the middle. But this year really feels like that, like 5 through honestly 12, because George could definitely go on a run.
yep.
It is relatively competitive, and even though George is, we can even say 5 to 11 if we don't want to include the 0-4 team, which is fine. But still, I think you could pretty much interchange a lot of those teams, and no one would really be surprised.
And if nothing else, and he has a run once it's a little too late for him, he's still going to upset teams that might have thought they had a shot at getting in up there. And
Playing a little spoiler action, yeah, because I think this week to week coming down the stretch is really going to be important for guys to just stack as many wins as they can and score as much, because unlike last year, one of the rule changes we did institute in the offseason was the tiebreaker is your points for, not your head-to-head matchups, which feels like it's more of a service to the teams that actually deserve to be in because they actually scored points. Like last year, for example, I know Tyler would have snuck into that 8 spot with his points for, and he would have upset George the first week of the playoffs. So just goes to show, points do matter. Even if you have a mediocre record, myself probably going to be in that position, points are probably going to matter. So just make sure you're setting your lineups, make sure you're still trying, because you never know, that one extra win at the end of the year really could be the difference. So.
And one thing I've noticed is with this league too, you got some real good waiver action going. You got hardly anything happening when it comes to trades, and trades could really, change your team going ahead, and then like really give some new blood and revive some of these teams. And then what was the last thing I was going to say? I had one more comment. It's like slipping me right now.
Oh man, DJ Moore
that's what
already
it is.
DJ Moore scored a touchdown already.
Oh, you're kidding.
2 receptions, 78 yards,
That's awesome.
and a touchdown. So yeah, I just saw the scores update for Team Bucher, so already out to a hot start. But yeah, it's
Yep.
but no.
But the last thing I'll say is going into these next couple of weeks, I think this is where you've had some teams that were hot going into it, got some wins off the bat, but not everyone builds their team to account for bye weeks, and you're about to see a large hunk of bye weeks, and you might have a bunch of stars, but if you have crap on your bench, now you're looking at like 10 to 20 less points than you're used to per week. That can change the dynamic of a lot of these teams, and you might see some teams that were on a pretty strong drive in the front half of the season take multiple losses in a row as they lose these key players, or have 2 guys out in 1 week or something. You'd see like a 120 projection drop down to an 85 projection or something. So
yeah, to your point, you could very well see a team that's been at the top have a bad bye week, and a team that's been on the lower end have a good week, not have any guys on bye, and get a win. And so it's just it's the nature of the beast. It's very interesting. But yeah, to your point on trades, real quick, I will say I do think you're right about the waiver wire. People are very active, which is very fun. I know there's some people that aren't super happy about the structure of it, but I don't think there's honestly an answer that everyone's gonna be happy with. So
yeah.
It is what it is on that front. But no, I think there is something to people valuing their own players more than what they actually are when you draft a player. Just because you feel really good about it doesn't necessarily mean that they are that good. And if you need a running back, if you need a wide receiver, whatever you need, sometimes you got to give up somebody you don't want to make your team better. So it just is what it is. I've made trades. I make trades frequently in other leagues in this league. I feel like I'm one of the very few in this league that ever makes trades. But that being said, it's definitely something to explore. Just don't be afraid to let go of a guy you'd like to if you think you can obtain a guy that's going to make your team a competitor for the belt. So
And I submit trades every week, and they just go unnoticed, and then they age off, and it's just like frustrating. Like I don't think these guys are even seeing them. I think a lot of guys in this league just set their bench, and then forget about it, put on do not disturb, and then you know realize someone's sitting on the bench or someone's out for injury and they don't even catch it. So yeah, it's a little frustrating at times because trying to get a little new blood in certain positions, and it's impossible to move anyone in this league. So
but all on all that, big week this week for positioning. Week 5, we're already a third into the jockeying, so we can really see who's in position, who's not. That being said, thanks for hopping on the call last minute. Do appreciate your time.
no,
I'm sure
thanks
we'll
for
have you on
having me.
again. Yeah, man. Enjoy your trailer in the middle of nothing.
Oh yeah, hopefully I can watch the game without it buffering the whole time. So
Yeah, good luck with that. All right, man. See ya.
all right, see you, dude.